Today I just wanted to show you really quickly what a finished wedding looks like. I want you to kind of see a whole wedding, how I lay it out. And what I really want you to pay attention to with this is how it flows. Notice the color palette of the whole wedding, how things pop and don't pop, and what photos jump out at you and which ones don't. I'm just showing you in Lightroom, which is my editing software. It's nothing fancy. I'm not going to do a big slideshow or any of that jazz. Get right down to it. Basically, as you can see, I sort of put all the details in the very beginning. I like to photograph them in their own space and, you know, just kind of merging details when I can. These were save the dates that I made, so I took a few more pictures of them than I normally would. This is a photo of the couple from her brother's wedding 5 years ago. So that was fun for me to take that. And then this one, I do the invitation. I take a picture of the invitation and I use it. This is probably the best one. I use it for the first page of the wedding album as a way for the genealogy later on. So you have all the date, you have the name, you have all their parents, you've got where they got married, all that jazz. It's kind of nice to have. And then I like to do just sort of like, this is her house that she owns. So it's nice to like set the scene is basically what I'm doing. This one is really fun because this photo is part of the reason that they hired me. Was that Tim at Cassie's brother's wedding 5 years ago, he loved this photo and he said it was the best photo he'd ever had taken, and it was one that I took at the wedding. That was an easy sell, I guess, for these guys. I mean, obviously I loved her brother's wedding and got along great with the family, and they loved my performance, but also it was just funny that he loved that picture of himself so much. So, which is great to hear from a groom. Usually grooms either don't seem to care or they pretend they don't care, but details, so I always organize them in chronological order, and I put the details in the front, just to, again, as scene setter. I don't do a lot of dress hanging photos. I did it in her closet, which is her favorite thing in her life, which makes sense. I'm not one to bring it out into a tree because when I look at those photos, I'm like, why the heck is a dress hanging in the tree? When you get into weddings, if you're watching this and you're a new wedding photographer, really think about what's popular and why is it popular. For me, I mean, these people, when I show up and find their dress, they'll have like even a sheet on the ground so that the bottom of the dress doesn't get dirty. And then they're very delicate with these dresses until the reception. And they're freaking out about every little thing, every little bug that gets stuck in the lace and every little branch and leaf and whatever. Once you've seen how these brides treat their dress, there's no reason for you to treat it worse before they get in. So why is it hanging in a tree? Did the bride hang it in a tree? That's one thing. But I don't know. I never see those photos and think much of it. The only thing I will do is I'll move it into better lighting or a more interesting spot. But even this, I mean, this is how I walked in and I can just shoot through the door. If it's not a pretty room, you can frame it with other things and nice silhouette there to see the lace. The only other thing I'll do with that is I will bring a fancier hanger if it does, because most of the time they come with like a crappy plastic hanger. Okay, moving on, I really edit down. I try to have a really good portrait of everybody so that no one's left out. I try not to overshoot or over deliver. I mean, these are all in the same spot, but they're all a different moment. Scrolling. And then we have I had a second photographer, a really good full-time photographer. He did the guys for me. So he did a really good job. He shoots very similar to the way I do, which is great. And then here's the ceremony. So make it quick, get him crying, get her and her dad, because her dad couldn't walk her down the aisle. Very fast. You see, I've got one picture of this reader, or this, you know, I don't need 42. I need one horizontal, one vertical of the church. That's it. I mean, I really edit down. I still delivered almost 1,000 images to these guys. So anyway, I'm just going to keep going. So here we're exiting. She saw her kiddos. She's a teacher, and this is her kindergarten class getting ice cream. Just super fun, and here's them with her. And then we just go right into family formals, and then bridal party, and we went to their favorite bar, which is my idea. And, you know, I always start with like classic photos, and then I try to get more fun with it. I always start with like what I call a boring photo or something, a grandma pleaser. Mom loves this kind of stuff. You know, but then I try to make it my own by flipping the script a little bit. Like, I love these. These are all great. Turn people around in the other direction with the church. Like, Mom really wanted a picture with the dress down the stairs, but then I really like this one better because this is how she was sitting when I was doing something else. She was just hanging out, and he was hanging out just like that. Perfect, right? I mean, how great is that? Love it. And then we just popped out of the limo for 5 seconds. And then here we go to the country club. A couple pictures of these. But you see how much variety is in here? It's a lot of variety in a short amount of time. I'm really good at editing down. I don't like a lot of redundancy. Here we have a far away photo showing the country club in the background, and then I get right into the action, really close. So that's kind of how I do it. And so you can see generally the color palette of the whole wedding is very consistent. A lot of pinks and a lot of greens. Again, the screen might be a little bit off. On your screen might be a little off. Mine is looking a little bit magenta. But again, I think it's just the green. I've got everything labeled as green because then I know I kept it. That's probably just throwing it off a little bit. A lot of candids, a lot of black and whites at this point of the night. A lot of outdoor stuff. Then we get into drinking, dancing, and s'mores. So that's it. And for every part of the day, I always do the details right at the beginning. So we have like a little cake section and that kind of stuff. So that is a whole delivered wedding. That's what it looks like. And if you've watched some of my other tutorials, I'll just show you one more real fast. I'll go even faster with this one. I promise I won't talk at all. So Annie and Chris, I showed you some behind the scenes editing of this wedding. Here's the rehearsal. I'll slow down when we get to the wedding. All right, here's the wedding. So here we got him getting ready. And then we have her getting ready. This is an amazing Aurora Inn in Aurora, New York, which is where she grew up. Here's her sisters. Her getting ready with her father-in-law. I mean, not father-in-law, stepfather. And then this is her nanny. And her getting into the carriage to go to the church. Then we're at the church. So you get a good idea of how I shoot, right? And here we're leaving the church, so I have a lot more of these because I like the action of it. Him seeing the carriage, he didn't know about the carriage, so he's seeing that for the first time. And then here's them, we walked down the street to the reception. We did the family formals. But you see how colorful mine are? My colorful family photos. So, and real quick, I'll show you the ones with the brick that are a little bit more yellow in color and a little less colorful than these. Those were all my second photographer. She did those. But this is what I like doing. It's like this kind of nice light. A lot of flash. I do a lot of flash because no one else does. Not no one, but a lot of people are afraid of flash. So I guess I need to do a tutorial on flash. But these are great. This is my Fuji camera. Beautiful, beautiful blue sky. Beautiful blue suit. Nice colors. Love those. Love the color in these. A lot of black and white to give some drama. Then here's the reception. And if you've watched my other video, you saw me editing these into black and white or versus color. We talked about this section. So this is the one I used in the tutorial, but then a few frames later, I have this great picture. So this is the better one. So the funny thing is after I recorded that black and white versus color tutorial, I realized I could have just deleted that photo because I have this one that's so much better. It didn't have all the other distractions. I didn't have to crop it. You really see that he's a drummer because I've got the cymbals in the front. I did keep this one that we talked about. But you can see how much more fun we get when you get in the action. So anyway, let me finish up real fast for you. First dance, close-ups, crowd watching, wide angle. I mean, you don't have to go crazy. Same thing with toasts. You want everybody watching and laughing and listening, and then a couple pictures with the mic in somebody's face. And then the reception, again, details, cake, more dancing. They danced a lot at this wedding. And that, my friends, is a whole delivered wedding. And then there's the brunch the next day. Cool. All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment. If you have any thoughts on what you've just seen today, I'd love to hear it. And, you know, I can always add you to my newsletter if you're interested in making sure you don't miss anything. Have a great day.